Hello and welcome back. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. Well, there's a lot of content out there on YouTube. So I appreciate your taking the time out to pay attention to this conversation. What you'll get from this is a message from our inner teacher. What exactly that's going to be for you, I don't know, which is part of the fun of it. You don't know until you hear it. And when you do, well, it's pretty clear. That's always the way that it works out. So if you're just tuning in to this, or whether you've been watching this video series for a long time, welcome. I invite you to stick around because I don't know what that message for you is going to be. That's part of our lesson here is we don't know what is going to positively impact and influence someone's life. So we show up and extend love anyway, regardless. We don't of ourselves know all ends anyway, but our inner teacher does. So thank you for being here. Today, we're going to take a pause in our procession through the text of A Course in Miracles. We're going through it a little bit at a time, and it really doesn't make any difference how long it takes us to go through, because every single sentence of A Course in Miracles contains the entirety of the whole thought system. So you could, in fact, turn randomly to page 423 if you wanted to in the text, at least, read one sentence, and that would contain the entirety of the thought system. So let's pause today to consider a really important question. What do we mean by separation anyway? So I want to give a shout out and credit to my wife, Cindy, for asking this question. She has the benefit of being able to chat with me over coffee every morning because we have a morning ritual where we sit down over coffee, and we often have some really, really interesting and and fun and beneficial conversations. Yeah, we usually start the day early so we can make sure that no matter what happens, this morning time gets in there. The only times we don't do that are when we have to catch a flight somewhere. In that case, we go to the airport. So, what is separation anyway? The backdrop for this, the fact that I say on pretty much every video, there is no separation of any kind, and there is not. There is no separation of any kind. When I say this, it's literal. None. Never has been, never will be, is not right now. None. Literally. So rather than just period, end of discussion, let's discuss. Because it's a good question. What do we mean by that anyway? Well, the premise on which A Course in Miracles is based is our looking around and realizing we don't know what we're doing, which is why you're on the spiritual path to begin with. You have heard the call of our inner teacher, and it's the call to awaken. It's this voice that at some point you have listened to that tells you that there's got to be more than just all of the stuff that we do to take up our time here in life. There's more to life than email, thankfully. There's more to life than our job and just simply meeting the body's needs of food and water and shelter and going to work and paying the light bill and all that. I mean, not like that's unimportant. It's all important, but it's not everything. There's a way more to it than that, and we know this. So here you are, and we don't know what we're doing here in the world because we see things completely upside down and backwards. This is the essential premise to understand. We get in our own way. We block our own happiness at every turn. We want happiness deep down, we all do. We want joy, but we impede the experience of our own happiness and our own joy. How do we do this? By identifying as an individual, me, an individual self sustaining survival unit, me, myself, and I. We think that this is who we are and that it is the center of the universe and the known world, so we must protect it. We must protect this house. That's what we all think. And through no fault of our own, we're conditioned to think this way. And this happens from the time that we're very, very young. We are conditioned, we're indoctrinated if we're being honest, by our school systems, by the societies that we grow up in, wherever they may be in the world. It actually makes absolutely no difference because each society presses and stresses its own values, its own traditions, its own mores. Our parents do this, the school system does it, and as we grow up, advertisement advertisements do it, the advertising world, the world of global commerce does it. We're conditioned to behave a certain way and to believe that this structure here, this thing that's 80% water, more or less, and highly fallible, can barely stand the prick of a pin. We're conditioned to believe that this is who we are. And furthermore, that this thing is separate from other things that may look somewhat like it. It's separate from other people. It's separate from animals and other forms of life. It's separate from God. Separation, 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 individuality. Everywhere we look, and there are some societies in the world that prize this rugged individualism almost above all else. I live in one of them, i.e., the United States, so I would know. And it really, again, doesn't make any difference where you grew up or where you currently live. We're indoctrinated to think that this is us. It's a separation heaped upon other separations to the point where there appear to be 8 billion of us running around and sometimes loving on each other, oftentimes in competition with each other. And we call that economics. We just accept it for the way it is. Only we can't actually accept it for the way it is because deep down you know that there's more to it than the way it supposedly is. You've heard the call of our inner teacher and you've listened. That's huge. So thank you for that. So we think that we're separate from everyone else. And our thought system backs that up. Our language backs that up. Everything, every convention that we use and employ and make reference to here in the world backs up the thought of an individual separate us. We also think we're separate from God. We think God's outside of us. We think the Holy Spirit is outside of us. We think we're separate from God. So we project our own discomfort and fear on to Him, positing Him as jealous, vindictive, cruel, raging in me, and any other adjectives that you may wish to throw in there. Doesn't it make more sense to accept that love does not condemn? God, love, does not condemn, does not judge, does not play favorites? Is that not more of a loving message? It's also true, and we all know that it's true. When we say here in this series of videos that there is no separation of any kind, this is literal. We're not separate from our brother. We're not separate from God. Not one of us is separate in any way. The idea of separation is not real at all, period. Therefore, all of the ways in which we categorize our experience here in the world are completely unreal as well. All of the hierarchies, that's not real. A hierarchical structure is not real. Our divisions and subdivisions of our lives into hours and weeks and days and months, into appointments, into 5-minute blocks where we might go to the bathroom or get a snack. All of our compartmentalization is made up. It's nothing. Literally nothing. So, my hope is that you're seeing or you're beginning to entertain the real magnitude of this. There is no separation of any kind. How do we realize this? Well, let's start by entertaining the idea, which can seem to be anathema to us, or it can seem even worse than that. It could fill us with deep existential dread and fear. I hope not, but it's possible. Why is that possible? Well, this course aims to flip our perception right side up. Remember earlier, I stated that it's upside down. We don't see things as they really are. So, what about when we go forth and there appear to be 8 billion of us? And some of us hold beliefs that we don't hold. We disagree on things. Some people take to their social media to spread these beliefs because they can. All right. What do we do as a practical matter about this? Because it seems so unreal. It seems like a pipe dream. And it seems, well, like a fantasy. No, it's not a fantasy. Because deep down, we all know this to be true. So we need to continue to entertain these ideas and allow them to permeate our mind. That's a valuable start. So the more that you hear that there is no separation of any kind, the better. Now, you could accept this and embrace this, and sometimes you may do just that. Or you could think, well, no way. Uh-uh, I'm not buying that. You're wrong. All right. That's not a problem. It is absolutely perfectly normal here on the spiritual path. And I guarantee you it's normal when you study and practice A Course in Miracles. Why? Because it aims to flip our perception right side up, a complete perceptual 180. We don't see things as they are. Let's learn to see them as they really are, shall we? This is going to engender resistance from the ego. If you're not experiencing it right now, fantastic. Wait 5 minutes. I mean, really, it's like waiting for the weather to turn in the springtime, and then you don't have to wait long. It's going to be sunny, then rainy, hot, then cold. It's going to be beautiful, then you're going to experience a hailstorm. So it's like that. Stick around. What's resisting the ego? This false sense of individuality that we adhere to and cling to so desperately, yet find wanting at every turn. It's this sense of individuality that has us completely confused and unsure what's what, which ends up, which ends down. Well, when we attempt to run off and manipulate the show all by ourselves without the guidance of our inner teacher, we continue to get in our own way and experience suffering. Sure, we might experience some financial gains or a hot, sexy weekend with our lover. I mean, we could do all that. We could be financially comfortable or have a great job, but none of these pleasures lasts. They're impermanent. What's permanent? God. So when you hear on this series of videos, if you've not yet, you will, God is. That's pretty simple. Here's what's really meant. Only God is. All else is illusion. Only love is. Only perfect oneness is. And perfect oneness does not involve separation. There are no separate component parts. When you look about and see what appear to be 8 billion bodies, you're not a body. Stick around in your study and practice of A Course in Miracles long enough, you'll hear that again and again and again. So, this is what is meant by there is no separation. Your brother, who appears to be separate from you, is not a body, and neither are you. So you're not separate in space in that way. You're not separate in time. You're one. Your brother is not your closely related cousin. He's not related to you, yet still separate. There is no separation of any kind. Your brother is you. The more you allow yourself to entertain this idea and to accept it, the better. The more you'll begin to really viscerally feel it. And as a practical matter, the more willingness you'll find you have to forgive, to see things differently, to see them right side up. Along the way, you have the help of our inner teacher, who's part of our mind, not a foreign external power. Remember, there is no separation of any kind. You have access to multiple resources here in the world, online, in print, and otherwise, what appear to be human resources. Right? You're welcome to ask questions here on this video thread, like this one that Cindy has asked. I'm more than happy to answer them, and I'm more than happy to stop our procession through the text, which is still going to be there when we get back, after all, and entertain a discussion such as this. Because what I'm really interested in as a guide for you all is what's coming up for you live. What is coming up right now, today, that you would like to maybe get some answers on or to hear a dialogue about? I'm more than willing, more than happy to entertain those questions. So if you've got them, please leave them here in the comment thread. Any comments would be most welcome. And even if you just wish to stop in and say hello, I'd love to hear from you. This is the subscription button as well. That arrow in the corner of your screen is the prompt to subscribe and join us. Click or hover over that, and you'll be invited to subscribe. Thank you to all of you who have recently done that. I'd love to have you join us. If you're a student of A Course in Miracles, it doesn't make any difference whether you're a brand new beginner or whether you've been doing this for decades. These videos, as I hope you've just found out, are for everyone, regardless of experience level. You'll hear from our inner teacher the message that you're meant to hear. Now, if you're just checking this out and aren't familiar with A Course in Miracles, same thing. These are for you. So you've heard, because you've stuck around to this point, your message. So you do not have to be a student or practitioner of A Course in Miracles to benefit from listening to the guidance of our inner teacher. There are many doors in spirituality, aren't there? This is one of them. So I invite you to join us here. Several videos appear each week, and I'm always happy again to entertain those questions from you. So I thank you, as always, for joining me. I'll talk to you very soon.